Up and Adams, the NFLPA rookie premiere after show is going to happen over the week. Actually, we have so much content from some of these rookies, some stories. I'm going to do a little Q&A in the breaks. No Matthew Hamilton today to chop it up with me in the YouTube break. So hit me up with your questions. Ask me anything. Ask me anything on this Monday morning, or ask our guests. We are absolutely crushing it. Pierre Garcon, always on my fantasy team, just always on my fantasy team. 11-year NFL vet. I would like to hear from him about the NFC East, about how Washington can dethrone those Eagles, and maybe talk to him a little bit about the Niners as well. We have 2005 NFL MVP. Speaking of the NFC West, Shaun Alexander is on the show. Good friend of the show these past 3 seasons, and we're going to talk to him about the people sleeping on the Seahawks, what that means. I spent time with Jalen Milroe over the weekend. Could not be a bigger fan. The second time I got to sort of chop it up with him, so we'll bring you that. And we have senior ESPN writer and author of American King, Seth Wickersham. He'll give us his insight on quarterbacks, the different levels, all of his hard work after he dropped that Wickershaboom bomb on Caleb Willams, the Bears, and the like last week. Let's do it. Is it like a Seth Wickershaboom, Wickershabomb, a Seth Wicker? We gotta workshop this thing and then trademark it for Seth Wickersham, who will be joining the Up and Adams show, making his debut, I believe, my fellow Mizzou guy, after this thing that it's like death taxes. And once a year, Seth Wickersham flips the sports world on its head with a story that breaks it open, at least breaks open conversation. It makes us look at things differently. And it's something that we've come to expect, but we never know when it's coming. And that happened last week. We're so grateful to get Seth Wickersham's time here. We will have Shaun Alexander. We will have Pierre Garcon, kicking it back to really my fantasy league like stardom in those years, having those two guys on my squad year in, year out. But this weekend for me, it was all about the next generation. And I've said this a couple times, like once I started digging into this draft class, I will be so honest, I was not that excited. Ask anyone on my show. I was like, I don't know about this draft class. Or like, they are my favorite draft class maybe of all time. And maybe it's because I've been lucky enough to have a little proximity to them. Draft day, throughout the process, talking to so many on this show because they're amazing bookers, but also just being there in Green Bay with them. And then getting to be really part of something that it felt like too special. Like I felt like I'm too much of a fan to be able to be here. So this is like my footage, my little behind the scenes. Maybe we could run that back, and just getting these guys, and they get to, the night, I think Friday night, they see their uniforms for the first time. So it's emotional. And then they put their unis on, and it kind of felt like watching Marvel characters in a weird way, like behind the scenes of a movie, or it felt very like seeing the characters, in Disneyland just walk around. It felt larger than life. It felt really, really special. And I got to talk to all of them, all 40 of them. Oh my gosh. Caleb Willams is an actual monster, and he could be Defensive Rookie of the Year. Will Howard told me about the first time he ever met Big Ben, the boy from Downingtown, Pennsylvania, getting to roll up to the pearly gates of Big Ben's house and get to hang out with him. I got Riley Leonard talking about what it's like to live within a throw from Phillip Rivers. So we talked about all of these things. And it was just really beautiful. It was a celebratory moment. They, of course, did their shots, ran their routes, did their things for Panini for their rookie cards. And then we had these 1-of-1 cards to show them like 2 seconds after they did their thing. And it was insane to sit there and watch like Tyler Shuck or Ewers or whoever, Jalen Milroe, look at themselves in their uniforms in this card, like this physical card. And it's this moment that I was insanely, like, I felt like shouldn't have been there. Like it was wild. So I'm going to bring you, I just got the footage. We're like piping it in right now. Ashton Genty, an absolute star. Tez Johnson needs a podcast. I want to produce that. Cam Scadaboo, what a character. We talked about the headbutting, Jackson Dart. I tried to understand what was behind that. He was, they were doing their like all the on camera like marketing stuff, and he was doing like a heart and punching through it, and it was just like larger than life to watch. And he's this wrecking ball that's going to take the world by storm. I think we'll have a little Ashton Genty in this show to show Shaun Alexander because I called Ashton Genty out about his stance. He did that cool, scary stance in college. He literally came on my show and was so convicted about keeping that stance going in college. And I'm not seeing that at rookie minicamp. Why? We also got behind the number 2. How much did he pay for that number 2? What do you guys think? How much do you think Ashton Genty had to fork over to Daniel Carlson for that 2? He tells me, and he'll tell you guys here. We'll have that on the show. Thanks to Panini for having us. And thanks, of course, to Up and Adams for being sort of a nice place to bring some of that content for the fans who are just craving seeing these guys in these uniforms, talking about what's next, talking about what the rest of their off seasons are like. And I would say this, a couple takeaways. Everyone's favorite. So I talked to 40 guys, no joke, 40 guys. And I asked them sort of all, like, who's not the fave, but like, who have you become fast friends with? Who's the class clown? Who's goofy? And I was expecting a lot of Travis Hunter because he's like, larger than life personality. And that name was definitely mentioned. Everybody said Dylan Gabriel. Everyone said Dylan Gabriel. That Dylan Gabriel is fun and light, and he's obviously like a bit of like there's like a veteran feel to him, of course. He's like the rookie and the veteran, him and Tyler Shuck as well. But everyone loves Dylan Gabriel, and it sort of just reinforced something that I've said on the show, that in that quarterback room, and I talked to Shador too, who was absolutely lovely. Like, what a nice thing for Shador, for that locker room, for that team to have a guy like Dylan Gabriel, just with that temperament, with a little bit, being a little bit more tenured, being a little bit more, just being at his age with his demeanor. He's a great time. And everyone said so. It was like Dylan Gabriel's name kept coming up. When I met Matthew Golden, I met him in Green Bay. I met him in the draft process too, just on Zoom, but in person I met him. He was talking to Josh Jacobs in Green Bay. And it was the day after the draft, it was like a lot, there's a lot going on. And it was such an iconic moment with all of that. And when I saw him yesterday, I was talking to Savion, his teammate, longtime teammate, and as they embark on this journey together, like he was like a load was lifted off his shoulders. Like he was like there's like a different vibe to him, and they were really like just having the best time. And we're gonna bring you a lot of bites. I've got Will Howard, I've got Quinn Ewers, I've got Travis Hunter, Shador Sanders. But here's a look at Mr. Matthew Golden. Go Pack Go. What's it like to catch a ball from Jordan
It's
Love?
different. Yeah, it's different. The way he throw the ball, how it come out his hands. Man, that's all you want as a receiver, a good quarterback. So, I'm definitely excited to play in that offense.
The entire world watched Go Pack Go. In this, I have chills even thinking about it.
No, I got it down. Yeah, I practiced it. Go Pack Go, baby.
Absolutely love that. We have more. He's super excited that we talked about the competition for looks from Jordan Love, the botched recruitment from Savion Williams of said Matthew Golden. So we have all of that going on, much, much more. And by the way, none of them have seen Jerry Maguire, and that was my biggest problem. We're going to bring in Seth Wickersham here in a second. Literally, none of them, and maybe Seth, you can talk to me about this. Because it's not even, I got a lot of heat on Twitter, Seth Wickersham, about, like, of course they haven't seen it. That movie's 30 years old, 40 years, whatever it is. It's not that they've never seen it. It's that none of them, not one, Seth, not one of 40 could tell me who Jerry Maguire is. Not one of them had any sort of recognition of the phrase, show me the money. They've never heard of Jerry Maguire.
That is brutal. And I've been to that event also, and it's an interesting event. It's strange in its own way, but it's also really cool in a different way too. But like each of those moments where you realize that 20 years went by in the blink of an eye, and all of these other people have been born and come up through the culture and haven't heard of these things, are definitely jarring and sometimes not that much fun.
Yeah. What do you make of that event? I was a rookie out there. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Like, it was just, what makes it unique? Or like, can you describe it from your perspective, getting to go?
I've been to it a couple times. I think what's interesting is, first of all, like you mentioned, they're all in their uniform and they're all just kind of milling about. So it's like they're all dressed up for prom, only there is no prom. And then I thought that, what stood out was just that it's one of those events for them that happens once, and they're so excited about it because they get a chance to like take those photos for their first cards. They get a chance to actually like chat with one another. A lot of the times, and I write about this in my quarterback book, there's that youth football circuit. And so a lot of them, they know each other throughout the years, and other times they're meeting for the very first time. So I think that, like, all in all, it's an awesome event for them. And it's one of those weekends they won't forget. And from the outside coming in, it's cool to be a part of.
Yeah, like draft weekend is fun, but like they're guarded. There's pressure there. This is just like it's real. Let it rip. It's like a dream come true for them. It was really cool to be a part of. And I love that you've been there before and I want to go again, but you are a senior writer. You're the senior top dog at ESPN, a New York Times bestselling author. Your book, American Kings, a biography of the quarterback, is out this fall. So congratulations on that and everything you do. And listen, I minded my business, Seth, on Thursday, minded my business, and we get Seth Wickersham or whatever we want to call it. Okay. The Seth Wickersham boom, with this Caleb Willams sort of story, that's part of the story that you're trying to tell. Before we even get into it, what does that feel like? Like when that moment where like I've been working on this for so long, getting everything, and then like you're going to drop this, and you know what it's going to do. It's going to change the narrative in a big way.
I think there's a little bit of anxiety, of course. Like I didn't know exactly when the new story was going to come out, but like I do think that like the cool thing about doing a book, and to a certain extent, I've been working on this book since I was in high school and I was a failed high school quarterback. But like, doing the book and getting to spend all this time with like John Elway and people like Caleb Willams and get inside the recruitment of Arch Manning and learn about how quarterback came to be such a celebrated part of our culture, that is the most rewarding part of the job. And if like, you kind of get a day or an afternoon where people are talking about little elements of it, that's pretty cool.
What did you learn writing this book?
I think that once you understand, there's a part of the book where I get into the history, not of the forward pass, but of quarterback. Like, why did this thing become so glamorized? Why is it so celebrated? And obviously, why is it so mysterious and kind of hard to predict? But once I got into that and sort of showed how almost from the moment that the forward pass started, quarterback became this thing that even people in 1906, 1907, audiences realized was something really special. You get to understand that time is kind of a flat circle. And look, we've seen a lot of really famous college quarterbacks throughout the years. Obviously, Caleb Willams is one of them. Tim Tebow was one of them. But even in the 1940s, if you go back and look at Bob Waterfield at UCLA, the circles that he was hanging with and the Hollywood circles that he was hanging with during that time are astounding. And I think that like from the moment that as a culture, we decided that this is a job that we want to celebrate, it elevated those guys who did it at a high level to those, lofty cultural circles.
Yeah, and I'm fascinated to read it because just the idea of, I can just to even bring it back to the rookie premiere, the quarterbacks are just different. I said it on the call this morning, get a production call, and everyone's like, what was it like? And I was like, you just watch like the Riley Leonards and the Will Howards, and you watch Jalen Milroe move, like they move different. They just, it's just a different thing. And their relationship with fame is complicated, and that's something that it's a theme in the book as I understand it. When it comes to someone like, let's just take it to like even an Arch Manning, which I know is talked about, how what did you notice, or what, like, how are they in the Manning family sort of, or the support system around him, even him himself, his old coach, of course, I've talked to him, Sark, about this. How do you handle the complexities that are going to come?
And I honestly, I think that like that's the hardest part. And really, my book is a book about, American fame. And I think that as a quarterback, you don't get into the job just because you can throw the ball well. I think that like at this point, knowing what the job builds in you, what it strips in you, and what it requires and takes of you, I mean, you have to wear all of these different hats, from being a corporate spokesperson to being a philanthropist to being a raging jerk at times, to matinee idol. You have to do all of these things and know that everyone is focusing on you on every single play. And I think that it takes a certain personality to do that. I don't think that was always the case throughout history, but I think definitely now, I think that there's almost like an American Idol aspect of it, where the people who decide that they want to be NFL quarterbacks know that this is part of it, and they have to prepare themselves for a huge level of fame that really starts in high school. For Arch Manning, it started even before high school. And, those are a lot of the things I get into in the book.
Yeah, and you get into a couple quarterbacks, the current ones that we have. You have Bo Nix, who I'm fascinated by, his sort of transition to the NFL. What is a quality of Bo's that stuck out to you and sort of made him such a good match, maybe for the NFL and for really Sean Payton specifically in the Broncos?
Well, what I get into with Bo Nix is I have a lot of interesting insidery detail about the scouting process that led Sean Payton to want him. And it touches on a lot of things from, I don't want to give away too much at the moment, but like it touches on a lot of things from like analytics and Moneyball in the NFL to personality type. And I think that losing out on Patrick Mahomes was something that haunted Sean Payton. You know Sean very well. I mean, that has haunted Sean Payton's career, that he had his eye on Mahomes and that the Chiefs traded up right before he was due to pick him and got him. And I think that the scars from that led to him creating a system to evaluate quarterbacks that led to Bo Nix.
Well said. And now he's adding support to that, and we're like revisiting a Saints sort of vibe from before that he's also recreating. I think that was like sort of something that stuck with Sean Payton as well. And he crushed it. He had a great, but he's got these qualities. I was just talking about Dylan Gabriel. I'm sure you heard, teammate of his, and just, I don't know if it's Dan Lanning or if it's just like landing with these offensive minded coaches. Like what, I'm trying to think of like what the lesson is. And I was talking to even some of these young cats, like even the Dylan Gabriels and the Tyler Shucks. I mean, I'm going to drop an F-bomb when I say this kid's name for sure. So I can't Shuck. Tyler Shuck, just like being these like, I mean, Tyler's line to me was, yeah, I'm a little bit of a rookie and a veteran at the same time. I'm trying to think of just like the lesson in these young quarterbacks and the older young ones are really figuring it out and having success, a la Jaden, a la Bo Nix, which we love to see. I was going to ask you about Caleb, of course, because this is the leading story on this. I'm so fascinated by Bo Nix. What a hook. I can't wait to read about that. Were you surprised? What was surprising to you about the reaction to this like first little taste of this story?
Well, to go with what you were talking about earlier, like what's the lesson? I think that Carl Williams and Caleb Williams knew that as much as being a great NFL quarterback comes down to your ability to manage all of these things and being able to make these incredible throws that really only maybe 5 people a generation can make, who picks you matters. Luck matters. And I think that like they saw the situation similar to how Jack and John Elway saw it in 1983, to how Archie and Eli Manning saw it in 2004, where if there was a way possible for him to have some agency over his future employer, they wanted to exhaust all avenues and see if they could do it. And because I think that they realized that, does Bo Nix have the rookie year that he has if he's not drafted by one of the greatest offensive minds ever? I don't know that.
Yep.
I doubt it, to be honest with you. And I think that like location matters and who's coaching you matters and support system matters. And so when you look at the Chicago Bears and you look at their history with quarterbacks, really going back 70 years, but especially the recent history, there's not a lot of good things to talk about. And so I think that for the better part of a year in the run up to the draft, Carl Williams was looking at ways around the draft if possible. And I think that what they came down to was, are you willing to create an untenable situation similar to what the Elways did and kind of similar to what the Mannings did, and make it so that the Bears would be forced to trade you? Could that work? And was that something that they wanted to do?
You interviewed him. Of course, you're close to his father talking to the Mannings, to Mr. Elway, in trying to navigate what he thought might be best for his son. And it's an incredible, and I appreciate the storytelling. I can't wait to read more about it. What stuck out to you about Caleb? Do you feel like Caleb is misunderstood?
Well, the thing that I enjoy about Caleb, and I reported around him a lot. I mean, I went to his old high school. I went to USC. And I think that like the sincerity with which he carries himself is really interesting. And I think that like when he first wanted to be a quarterback and he had played running back and he had decided he wanted to play running back or wanted to go to quarterback. And when he told his dad that, he said, no, you don't understand. I want to be the greatest ever. And his dad, who, kind of gets labeled as one of these quarterback dads, But at first, his dad wasn't thinking like, hey, I have to figure out a way to reverse engineer this so that he's the greatest quarterback ever. He looked at it as a way to get his kid to eat healthier, to go to bed earlier, to be more obedient. Any parent can relate to those things. And I think that what you learn about Caleb as you hang around him and as you watch him is, he wants to be great. His high school coaches talked about when they started him in high school over a popular, student who was ahead of him in terms of years in high school, upperclassmen.
Mm-hmm.
And it was because of a vibe. It wasn't because Caleb understood the offense so much better at that point. It was because of a vibe that he gave off. And when Caleb was entering the draft, remember he had that last year at USC, which is up and down. They lost at home to Washington. He ends up in the stands, in his mother's arms. And after that game, he didn't come out and meet the press. And there was a lot of NFL people who were saying, like, that's not going to fly in the NFL. It's not going to fly in the management, and it's not going to fly in the locker room. And if you look at how Caleb handled his rookie year, in which I think he was put in a lot of compromising positions by that coaching staff and by that organization, he never broke. He went in front of the cameras each time, and he was an accountable leader. He proved how tough he was. And finally, he proved that he can make really difficult throws under really difficult circumstances. So if I'm a Bears fan right now, even though the first year of that, the Caleb regime didn't go very well, I think there's a lot of reasons to be really optimistic.
What's his relationship with fame? How does he handle fame?
I think he's used to it. And I think he is one of those men. I think that he's one of those people who, when he decided he wanted to do this, he understood very quickly that this was part of it. He and his dad told me stories about when they first realized that he was starting to gain some notoriety. They were at the Alamo Bowl when he was at Oklahoma, and he was talking to his parents down in the hotel lobby, and he turned around and there was a line of people that had surrounded him waiting for his autograph. And at that point, he wasn't, a Heisman winner. As he got to USC, he learned little ways around avoiding paparazzi at LAX. And so I think that it's one of those things that he's used to, and he's gotten used to it. And I think that he's pretty comfortable being in the spotlight. And I think that, again, going back to what we talked about earlier, if you're a quarterback in the year 2025, it's something you simply have to be comfortable doing. You cannot be one of these guys who maybe were able to fly under the radar, earlier. It just doesn't exist that way anymore.
It's true. And I look at no further than even Joe Burrow. Just Joe Burrow, he would like a private life, but he understands that it's part of it. It's fun to watch him sort of reveal and understand that and how much work he has to put into that. We're going to take a TV break, but Seth, we're not done with you yet. But for the TV crowd, American Kings, a biography of the quarterback, it is available for pre-order. It will be out September 9th. I would love to know the story that you want to tell next. What's next? What's the next Seth Wickersham boom bomb, whatever?
I might have to give that one a little bit of thought, but I'll let you know sooner than other people. How about that?
Yeah. I mean, you wrote the definitive book on the Patriots dynasty. You've covered Bill for a long time. What are your thoughts on this new public persona?
Belichick?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's complicated. I think that he's someone who, talk about someone whose personality is not suited for fame. I mean, I think that he loved being a head coach and he loved a lot of things that went with it, but he really reacted to the scrutiny and the invasiveness that comes with the job his own way. And I think that that's one of the things that coaches have always felt kind of impressed with him by, is that he's kind of unabashedly himself. And it's one of the reasons why he had so many of those memorable press conference where he says nothing other than on to Cincinnati. I think that what's got to be difficult now is that, North Carolina hires him. They make him the highest paid public employee in the state. And they think at the minimum what they're getting is a no drama, buttoned up football program. And yet all of the conversation has been about non-football dramatic matters. And I think that probably has to bug him.
Eloquently said. Maybe you can get the, and there's more to that story to tell. So maybe that's something for the future. American Kings, a biography of the quarterback. We're talking like 40s. We're going with way back in the time machine. I cannot wait. It's available for pre-order right now, out September 9th. All of your favorite quarterbacks, and just the humanity of it, which I'm most fascinated by. Seth, I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kay.
Good to see you. He's too humble about his Seth Wickersham bombs. What?
Oh,
What is it?
I've got my Shakespeare cup.
Let's go! Don't even. You can't do that to a girl on a Monday morning. I'm going to crave that all day.
I know.
When's the last time you were back?
Thank you very much.
When's the last time you were back?
Oh, I go there when I go to Chiefs playoff games. I fly out of Columbia, so I'll drive there afterwards and then fly home out of Columbia.
Seth, that is so cool that you do that. That's insane. That's insane that you do that. I love it.
See you down the road. Thank you.
See ya. Oh my gosh. So for those who don't know, Shakespeare's Pizza is like unbelievable. Okay. Shaun Alexander, what a show. Let's do it. Thanks. Yeah? Good. Great.
This is so good. This is a family call right here. With the 92nd pick of the 2025 NFL Draft, the Seattle Seahawks have selected my nephew, quarterback, Alabama, Jalen Milroe. Okay. Wow. Let's go to work, fam.
And the crowd goes wild. Okay, we got the 2005 NFL MVP, all-time leading rusher for the Seahawks, not straight from the draft stage, but here to break it all down. Shaun Alexander, what was that moment like?
Oh, it's really cool because you get the pick like 30 seconds before you go on stage. And so then you've got the long walk and I'm looking and I'm like, am I about to call Jalen's name out? Like I remember when he got to Bama, and so I'm super excited for him. And I know I saw him the first day. He was there to support some of the other teammates, and then he flew home. And so I'm over here, keep your head up. You're about to go to a place. You're going to be in the show. When you get there, you're going to love it. Just be you when you get there.
Wow.
You got the thing. And literally, I'm about to call him on the stage. And so it was great. We got to talk on the phone afterwards. It was a fun time all the way around.
I saw him this weekend. I talked to him. I met him draft weekend as well several times. His parents are the most, I love his parents. And here he is just doing his thing for Panini, looking the part, acting the part. This is a quarterback and he's lighting it up, by the way. I don't know if you're hearing, we're getting the Brett Favre, a lot of oohs and ahs out of rookie minicamp so far.
Yeah, and he's got amazing talent. And, we saw with Russell before, rookie, just come in, just be yourself, use your talent, and he ends up winning. So we don't know if Jalen's going to win, but I just don't count people out that's got his character and his look at ball. Like, he knows the game itself, but then he has all these extra tools that could make him really be something special. So yeah, it's exciting. We'll see what happens.
I wanted to start this interview like this, but we got right into Jalen because of that draft pick. This cannot be true. It is 20 years at this time that you were coming off back-to-back Pro Bowls, probably on vacation somewhere before having to go to OTAs, 20 years before that MVP. Isn't that insane?
It is nuts. I'm at a hotel now. My wife and I are just celebrating our 23rd anniversary, and we're coming back tonight. So yes, we've been on here. Just wonderful hotel, by the way, Salomon Resorts. But it's crazy. It is crazy to think that I'm old enough to remember everybody that's coming in, and no one I've played with, or everybody I play with, are now coaches. So it's nuts. I can't believe the timing, but wouldn't trade it for anything. Watching these young players come and play now, watching the game where it's evolved, watching some of my old teammates. Bobby Ingram, who was like my big brother's the coach with the Commanders, and so we live close to each other. So it's pretty awesome to see, but I can't believe it's been like 20 years since I got down like that.
Absolutely amazing. Back to Milroe now as you're recovering league and you're helping welcome these new guys in. And talking to him, he was just like, I just want to do whatever I can, be part of the team, keep my head down. We all know the Sam Darnold part of this as well, bringing in a guy who had a tremendous season last year for those Vikings. And it seems like he's firmly in place as the starter. Is that the right move? Like it's from, I mean, it's rookie minicamp, and I think it's already going to be hard to keep him off the field. How should they use him in year one?
I think that you just let him grow. I'm one of those guys that, college, I was redshirted, get to the pros, I sit behind Ricky Waters for a year two, boom. But I also know that if he has the discipline to be the quarterback, and we know he has the talent, and if he can catch on fast enough, you don't let superstars sit too long because they learn not to be the superstars. And so we have a fine quarterback we just brought in, but like I said, in Sam Darnold, but we've seen this before. We did it with the kid from Green Bay that came in, and we drafted Russell Wilson. And so I'm cool. I think Seattle, I'm pro Seattle all the way. So I think if Sam comes out and balls, then we're great. If Jalen looks like he's taking a nod, we don't have to hesitate on that either. Let's go win. We got a great defense, and it's going to be even better this year. So do what it takes to get in the playoffs and dominate. I believe we're the only team with a winning record not to get into the playoffs last year. So
Oof.
we'll just take another step forward, and we'll be that squad this year.
Yeah, and you're mentioning like obviously like the Flynn. When I think about Flynn, I think like 6 touchdown games. He had a couple of those, and then like you have Russell, and you have to be able to be flexible and make those changes, and like you have to trust your coaching staff. I do think Mike McDonald is that guy. Like he was with the Ravens. He's also seen it. Rookie Lamar was drafted. Like the transition of him to Flacco. Like you kind of have to see. You have to be strategic about your future and doing the right thing, but you have to see what's right in front of you too. You can't ignore it for politics or fans or like whatever that might be. The Seahawks, you're saying a step forward. People are sleeping on these Seahawks, I think. And I think the NFC West is a little more open than people think, right? So I'm looking at FanDuel right now. Win total 7.5. They won 10 games last year. What happened here?
I think that sometimes good old Seattle is tucked up in that corner and people forget, but we did it when I was there. There was a little bit of a kind of see also again with that Legion of Boom and all and Marshawn. People were still sleeping on us. Like we were still beating teams up, and people didn't see it coming. And then Super Bowl back to back, and then people were like, "Oh, they're about to fall." They were about to fall for 3 years, like So
Yeah.
I think that Seattle being tucked up in the corner, the good old Northwest, is a really awesome spot to be forgotten. It's terrible for marketing, but it's really good as a team because you can always come in with a chip on your shoulder, and we will. But I promise you this: no one comes to Seattle thinking that they're not going to get punched in the face because that's what it's looked like up in Seattle. So it's going to be great. They're in great position to do well.
Yeah, and I think surprise people and impress people. You're talking about, I mean, this roster, if we look at some of the changes, just from your eyes, a 2005 MVP, new quarterback, new offensive coordinator, what is the change that you think is the most important one, the most impactful one that we've seen?
I think that if Jackson and Cooper take over for DK and Tyler, I think that everybody's going to be like, "What just happened?" Like everybody's used to like we've had these 3 receivers, DK and Tyler, for so long that now that we've got two new bloods, Jackson came in as a rookie and shocked everybody, but he's now the number one, and Cooper is again one of the most deadliest number 2s in the whole game. Uh, they're in a position to really be spectacular offensively, and I just think also like their defense is it's a good D, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And I think they're going to play way better than what everybody imagines.
Are you a Clint Kubiak guy? Should I have faith in Clint Kubiak?
I think he's going to do it what it takes. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I think he's going to do what it takes.
Talent is
I'm
there.
I'm not against, but I'm not like, oh, like this is the great, but I think like he's solid, and he's going to take a team and he's going to balance it out, and they're going to be great.
Because if you look at the roster, you're like, yeah, this offense, like, yeah, let's go. And then it's, he's got to be the right guy for that, right? It's important. It's an important thing to sort of keep your eye on. Speaking of coaching and the like, sorry.
That's right. Because Kenneth Walker is sneaky good. You know what I mean? Like if he's
Yeah.
healthy, he's a playmaker waiting to happen. And so, I just think you get a person like him, you get these wideouts, you get the quarterback slinging the rock and putting everybody in the right place. Yeah, it's sky's the limit.
And now you have the Raiders. It's like I would never think like, oh, Shaun Alexander's coming on the show. Got to ask him about the Raiders. It's never been in my head. And now it is, because you got these Seahawks that sort of reunite this offseason in Coach Pete Carroll, in Geno Smith, toughest quarterback in the NFL. And Ashton Genty gets added here. We know Pete loves to run the ball. How do you feel about Ashton in this offense?
I think Ashton's going to do great. Ashton runs downhill, gets behind his pads. He can break tackles. So, he's going to be great. Pete going to there, he's going to really like what he sees in Ashanti, and he's going to have a lot of fun with that. Ashanti is what you want, an incredibly hard worker. He's going to do all the things he needs, but you see that low center of gravity even on those reps.
Mm-hmm.
He goes and makes plays, and then you get Geno there. You've got Brock Bowers, who won the freshman player of the year. So I've known this kid since he was 18, 19 years old. It's wild watching people grow up and see them still put there. So I know that Pete's got the nucleus of what he wants, a bunch of tough-nosed guys that are all willing to do what it takes to go be the best. You got a bell cow in Shante, so he's in a good situation.
It's wild, because I was thinking Pete Carroll, tenured veteran OG. I was with these rookies this weekend at the rookie premiere, and they've never heard of Jerry Maguire. It was a huge thing for me that they've never even heard of it. And it's Cuba Good, hello, what, Tom Cruise. They're like, oh, we know who Tom Cruise is. Yeah. They have no idea. And then it's yeah, kind of. It just wasn't the fact that they've never heard of Jerry Maguire. And I was like, gosh, and I feel so tenured then. Mm-hmm. And then I think about Pete Carroll having to relate to an Ashton Genty, and somehow it works. And I just give him so much credit for that, because I'm like, I can hardly relate. And it's a thing. It's a thing to think about, I think.
Yeah. Pete's so wild, because when I first think of, he was the coach of the New England Patriots before Belichick, but after Bill Parcells. So when you're between Parcells and Belichick, and you're like, who was that coach? It's Pete Carroll. You're like, you've been coaching this thing for a minute. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's still there just grinding it out, relating with the players. I knew the guys in Seattle loved him. They loved his open flow, and he ran the mess out of the guys, and he pulled that championship attitude. And, and what I hear is he's doing the same thing down in Las Vegas.
It's the energy, I think, that he has, that everyone seems to talk about. And young players have energy. And so what more can you relate to that? It's so crazy that you're saying that about Pete in New England, because I had Drew Bledsoe on last week, and we were talking about, obviously, the nuttiness and the toughness of, he actually hated playing for Parcells. It sounds like when we were talking, and just the Pete Carroll experience after that, it was crazy for me doing my research for that interview. Pete Carroll, he was the dude. It's a history lesson, and it's amazing to sort of think about. Now with Ashton Genty, I had him on my show a month before the draft, and he was, I don't know if you've seen his stance from college, where he stands straight. Have you seen that? Yeah. So he was adamant, Shaun, convicted. I'm going to keep this. No coach is going to get me to change this in the NFL. This is how I do it. It's who I am. And then I see these clips from all the rookie workouts and minicamp, and he's not standing straight. And I'm like, oh no, he's changed. He's broke. He's whatever. So I saw him at rookie minicamp. Here's what he had to say about it. Look.
Man, Chip Kelly, he comes up to me the first day of rookie minicamp. He you play basketball? You ever play basketball? I'm like, yeah, I play basketball. I could dunk, all that. He's like, okay. He was like, show me how you would guard me. And he acting like he holding the ball.
Let's do this, get up.
He show me how you would guard me. He holding the ball. Act like you holding the ball.
Okay, got it, yeah.
And I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he was like, that's exactly why you got to be down in your running back stance.
No, you were so convicted.
I was,
and
but.
And then he won? Just like that? That's all it took?
He won for now. I'm gonna try to persuade him one day.
Shaun, I don't like it. What do you think?
You know what? You want to take every tip and every advantage as a running back. And so if it makes him better, then he'll do it. And because Ashanti's coachable, he's going to be like, all right, well, let me see if this actually makes me a little bit better. And if he doesn't, then he's stand up because just like a player wants to take every tip and manage to make himself better, every coach wants their player to be what they need to be to play great. So I know that Chip and Peter are the same way about that. They're like, yeah, hey, do what you need to do. I think Bending would probably be a little bit better because he can hide behind people a little bit better. And sometimes when you're standing tall, the defensive people can see what you're doing, and you might be able to tip
Yeah.
some things. And so, so I think Bending's better.
It's such an. You're right. I just don't. I thought he was going to do it and be the one to do it. Okay, he is the favorite for offensive rookie of the year. Are we into that? That means the over under right now is 1,075.5 yards. What would you do with that?
Yeah, I think that he's got a chance because he's going to get the ball and he's going to, he's going to have all the times. I think Cam, of course, quarterbacks always have a shot at winning. If they win, I like Travion Henderson and Quinshawn Junkins, the two run Ohio State boys. Quinshawn was one of my freshman player of the year guys that I got to get close with, and those boys both play. Travion's with Najee, so that's going to be an issue. Like he'll never get the carries, but Quinshawn's got a shot to just low key turn around and hand him the ball and actually take the thing over a little bit because he's got that kind of. I've always thought he's had better NBA or better NFL talent than NCAA talent. And some guys you get like that where they're good in college, but like something greater shows up when they get to the pros. I feel like he's got that kind of game. So Quishan could be the best rookie running back if Ashanti doesn't.
Okay, we're going to take a short break here. We're going to come back. But during the break, I want to talk to you, of course, about the Shaun Alexander Freshman of the Year award. We'll be right back. What do I need to know about this year's winner, Colin Simmons?
Oh man, he is like that dude. He the Texas loves him because he can play DN, outside linebacker, play middle linebacker. He blitzes, he can also cover. They just love him. I thought he was great. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was the hardest picking that me and all the guys had because it's not just offense, it's not just defense, it's overall not only player, but then, what they are to their team. And between him and Jeremiah Smith, that was the closest we ever had. I think it was like down to like, we do by percentages and points and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Everyone, we kept picking Colin, is this right? And everybody's like, we'll know when this thing is all said and done that we have picked, for the seventh time, an amazing guy to rep this award. And we know we got it right. He's going to be that dude. He's a killer.
You know what you're doing because you picked Brock Bowers. You guys have picked Will Anderson, Trevor Lawrence, Drake May. Like these are guys who are making their way in studs in the league. So congratulations to him with the Shaun Alexander Freshman Player of the Year award. Last one for you. There were rumors over the weekend that Saquon was going to be the next Madden cover guy. I guess it's not real. That's what I'm seeing. As the face of Madden 07, Shaun, who deserves to be on the next cover?
Man, I think Saquon did it all. I try to tell people, man, like you get an opportunity like that, like you should take it. Everyone's like, what about the Madden curse? I'm like, there's 32 teams, 64 between running back and quarterback. There's 64 players. 50 of them are going to get hurt. You just know the truth. 50 guys are not going to play in every game. And so if that's the case, what do? You just play the game. And so I'm like, man, don't worry about any other curses. Go ball. It is one of the greatest honors that you'll have. I still laugh today when I think of my nephews. They'd be like, oh, Uncle Shaun, you were on the cover of Madden. I was like, I won the MVP. We played in the first Seahawks Super Bowl. Like, I know,
Yeah.
but you was on Madden. I was
Or
like,
Madden.
okay.
That makes you legit. I mean, it's iconic and does make you legit. Shaun, go enjoy enough with football. Go enjoy some. I don't even know what you're doing today. Like are we horseback riding? Maybe we're having like a romantic stroll. What did you say? 23 years? How what?
Years, 23 years, 12 kids, no twins. A lot of fun, you know what I mean? So yeah, so there's horses out here and hiking, and it's got
God,
the whole
12 children and we have to have another interview. That is insane. Maybe a 13th on the way on this anniversary. We love you, Shaun Alexander. You are the best. Talk to you soon. Thank you. That's insane. I love it. He's so awesome.
On the Redskins' first possession. He fires downfield. He's now 7 for 7 as Garçon breaks free. Pierre Garcon will not be caught. 88 yards to number 88 for the first touchdown of RG3's NFL career.
Pierre, you need no introduction, but I love that play. It is iconic. What are you thinking watching that?
It's a great memory. The best way to start a career in Washington, D.C., honestly. It was a dream start.
2012 season opener. You had 4 grabs for over 100 and a touchdown. RG3, of course, like unbelievable. And when I watch you, I'm like trying to think like, gosh, we missed that in the league. I think we have it a little bit with Puka Nacua in like the toughness, like the strong, precise route kind of vibes. Do you see that comp, or do you see yourself in any receiver that we have right now?
I do see that, and Sean McVay was my coach when I was in DC, and he always talks about Puka and all the other coaching staff that were there. And you always love seeing guys play hard, and that was always my intention. And when guys are playing hard on Sunday, it just makes you feel proud and happy that those guys are taking full advantage of that opportunity in that moment.
Pierre Garcon joining the show. Like, I love talking to you. I love, like, when I think about, like, after catch, like, you after the catch was just like, for a fan, everything was so insane just across the board watching you. You spent 11 years, so accomplished in the NFL, 2013 receptions leader. Happy to have you here. And now we're working on our golf game. Like, what's your journey to become a scratch golfer? It looks alive and well.
I got some work to do, but that's the game of golf. I'm a competitive guy, very competitive, so try to do things the right way and think the long way. And, hopefully, it'll get better. Hopefully I get to scratch.
I think you will. If I know anything about you and just your tenacity with that. We just showed that RG3 highlight. Obviously, that was his first game. He posted a video on TikTok a few days ago, and the caption was, "I got one more in me. Should I come out of retirement?" Did you see that? What do you think?
Quarterbacks can play for a long time, as we can see. RG3 is an athlete. He understands the game now. He's throwing the ball as fast as he's always have. So I wouldn't put it past him because he loves the game. He's still young.
Yeah, you just mentioned obviously Sean McVay. I think he was the tight ends coach, right, back then?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Tight end coach, offensive coordinator too as well. He moved up.
And then you have history with Shanahan. Let's just get right into that. He was your OC in Washington and later brought you to San Francisco, where they just signed Brock Purdy to a new deal. How do you feel about that?
It was a long time coming. If there's somebody to pay it, somebody on the roster, so you can get that noise out of the locker room and start focusing on other pieces to get the Super Bowl champion, because that's what Kyle's playing for. That's what that offense is designed to do. And I'm hoping that he gets over the hump, and he always knows that I have the best intentions for him and his team and love all his game plans. So I'm looking for them to do it, and I'm glad they signed Brock Purdy.
5 years, $265 million. I mean, you had
get tired of being a quarterback.
You had your best statistical season under Shanahan. That was your 113 catch season. I guess, when you look at Kyle, I should have all the faith in the world in this offense. And there's a lot of changes, but I'm not concerned about the Niners offense. Are you?
No, not at all. Once the quarterback is settled down, the players around him can make plays for him, and that's what Kyle designed. They get the ball in the playmakers' hand and let those guys show their work. And that's the job of the offensive coordinator, the head coach, put the ball in the playmakers' hand and have the quarterback throw touchdown passes. So I'm excited to see who they present this year and let us know who's going to be the next star of their offense.
You tell me, who's the next star of their offense? Who's picking it up? Who's stepping up this year?
Man, oh man, you put me on the
Take
spot
a look
with
at that list
one.
again.
But you know, Greg Jennings is a player that's fiery. Is he still? He's still there. Jennings. I hope Aoki comes back.
Juwan, yeah.
Greg Jennings, an older receiver, but Juwan, I hope he's still there. And I hope Aoki comes back off of the injury because you know he is the playmaker of that offense now that Debo's left.
Okay, so when Debo leaves and he goes from the Niners to, I mean, that's like the Pierre Garcon connection special. Did you broker that deal? Were you involved in that deal?
You know, Kyle Shanahan has a funny way of have irony around him. So, you know, I'm sure it was a little bit of just faith. And Debo is a similar player as me, and Kyle Shanahan loves that. And Dan Quinn, no, Adam Peters is from San Francisco, so we were all there together. So you know, it was faith that kind of brought us all together and back to DC. And we're happy to have Debo in DC to help Jaden Daniels and you know our offense get to the Super Bowl.
What makes it okay? Hold on, that's a tall. How are they going to get past the Eagles? What you think? Debo, you know, go ahead.
You know, third downs are big in those games. Tough catches over the middle are big in those games. And having, you know, a body in the middle of the field as always, and having the threat deep can win the NFC Championship game, you know, in Philadelphia or in DC. But, you know, it's always a good game when divisional opponents play. So any Sunday could be, you know, our day. And we were one game away from the Super Bowl. So you just want to get to the game and you know you're going to win it that night.
What was the moment that you knew Jaden Daniels is that guy?
You know, it's hard to say, but that Monday night throw, that touchdown throw to Terry was you know, he dropped it in the bucket, and that's one that you can't forget. And he was doing that in training camp too, and when they were showing like his first highlights at OTAs this time last year, and it was like when you throw a good deep ball in the league, you're very dangerous to the defense.
What he said, I saw that he was saying that he's studying his tendencies this offseason. Mm-hmm. What's one thing that you think he's studying extra, that he's working on to take his game to even another level, which is not even fair because to expect this out of him his rookie season, I hate for him, but he wants to get there. What do you think he should work on or is working on?
Man, it's a great question. I'm not in the offense. I'm not watching the films. I'm actually just, you know, being a spectator from afar. I you know, as a player in the league, as you get older, you learn how to protect yourself when you're getting tackled. And we all want that longevity. And that goes many ways by, you know, building your strength, your body up, as well as, you know, protecting your body to slide better or protect, you know, from not letting the defenders get a hand on you. And that would be the only tendency I think we naturally do as we get older and wiser in football.
Yeah, he's a young cat. So short TV break here, still live on YouTube, still getting this content out with Pierre Garcon. So the Debo thing might be, it sounds like it's a bigger ad than maybe some people are giving credit for. And he gets to play with Terry McLaurin. I mean, last time Washington had, I believe, 2,000-yard receivers was you and Deshaun Jackson in 2016. Do you think we see that again?
Oh, I think so. It could happen, especially when you have a thrower like Jaden Daniels. Those guys, once they get the ball in their hands, Debo and Terry, they can make plays, you know, with their legs. And that's what makes you even more special as a receiver. And, you know, having those bodies and having help out of the backfield and having a running game too with Brian Robinson and a tight end that you can check down, it has options and everybody can open up for everybody else.
Yeah, I like that you mentioned Sean McVay. I wasn't going to ask you a question about him, but like Devontae Adams going there is crazy, and he's obsessed with Devontae Adams, like such a football. You know, like I understand why, and his replacing Cooper Kupp out there. How does Devontae change sort of the fabric of the Rams passing attack? Do you think?
It gives them a security blanket. You know, third down, they're going to go to him early and often. They're going to try to get the ball in his hands so that he can, feel like he's making an impact on the game. So, that's what Coach wants. Coach wants a security blanket, and it's not going to be hard for those guys to get on the same page. Matthew Stafford, Devontae Adams, and Sean McVay, because it's all basically going to be one-on-one, and what can they draw up to have fun and score touchdowns.
Who do you like in the NFC West? I feel like. So Arizona's schedule is very favorable to start. You got the Rams with Devontae, can't sleep on them. I think people are struggling to think that the Niners are going to be back there with all of the changes. And then you've got Seattle, which is sort of, wide open. They bring in Sam Darnold, makes him. Who do you like? It's a wide open division.
It's hard to go against the Rams with veteran quarterbacks and veteran receivers and veteran coaches, but I'm looking forward to Arizona, taking that step. I think it's like a dark horse, outside of, root for Kyle Shanahan and, Brock Purdy in San Francisco. But, just to make it interesting, I think Arizona has a structure a little bit together to surprise people.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for Kyler Murray to take it.
Pierre, do you know that I've never met Kyle Shanahan? I've never met him.
Guy. He's a great guy.
What is he like? He won't like. I wanted to interview him like 90,000 times, and he's just like, no.
Kyle Shanahan is a slot receiver, so he has the swag of a receiver that can play inside and outside, so he can do it all.
What?
But that's how he's a football player. He loves football, so. He feels we can do it all. He plays with his chest out. So it's a good person to be around, and he's riding with you all the way. And he loves his players, and he loves playing football. He loves everything football. So
he doesn't love maybe talking about it with reporters. But yes, there's Kyle Shanahan. Pierre Garcon hanging out on the Up and Adam Show. We have the exclusive YouTube breaks. We're back on the TV side now. Please subscribe to the YouTube as we sit here talking. In other receiver news, I want you to listen to CeeDee Lamb in this interview. Let's play it.
Oh, no, we both ones. Yeah. It ain't no A, B, none of that. It's one. You look over there, you see one. You look over here, you see another one. So do what you got to do with that.
So CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, they were at Kyler Murray's, speaking of Arizona, at a celebrity softball game this weekend. CeeDee says that. Do you agree with CeeDee? We'll both get the number one receiver treatment. Is that possible?
Yeah, well, obviously CeeDee's been there longer, so that's obviously set in stone. But, as far as game day, both of them are number ones. I've played with Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne together on the same roster, and it's great for the quarterback, to have two number one options on either side that he looks at. Obviously the numbers won't be, hey, you're number one numbers, but physically talent, both of those guys can play well, and I'm excited for those guys to be on the same team and for those weapons to flourish.
Was it similar for you and Deshaun Jackson, probably?
It was very similar. We always wanted the ball, but we knew someone was going to be open. You're going to do.
I think that worked because of you. We'll see I don't know what's going to happen with those two. Appreciate you. Good luck at your golf game. Keep grinding at that scratch, whatever that means. Appreciate you. We'll see you guys all tomorrow. Bye, Pierre.
Bye.